Earlier, I put out a video for Grim Fandango. In it, I spoke about how lately I was feeling down and how when I'm feeling sad, I play games that I love. I used that as an opportunity to share with you one of those games, and today I'll be doing the exact same thing, because why be original when you can just repeat yourself repeatedly? Today I want to share Full Throttle with you. Also, remember how in that last video at the end I said it wasn't going to be next? The next video was going to be Full Throttle. It will not be Full Throttle. Well, I lied. That was my Arnold. Many moons ago, when I was still but a wee young pint-sized Lycan, I got my first real taste for a point-and-click game with the demo for Grim Fandango. Little did I know, this was going to send me on one heck of a journey, for you see, word spread far and wide about my new video game obsession, and by far and wide, I mean my mother told our neighbor about it, and this neighbor had a son who was in university or college, depending on where you're from, and he also enjoyed video games, and she brought this up with her son. So, later that week at a barbecue at their house, I'd have a bit of a surprise waiting for me. The neighbor's son walked up to me and handed me a big box PC game with one heck of an awesome cover. I asked him what it was, and he told me it was a point-and-click game, and that's where I learned the term, by the way. And if I liked Grim Fandango, I'd love this, because the guy who made that made Full Throttle first. I was over the moon with excitement, and I just couldn't wait to play. Once the barbecue was all wrapped up, I raced home in the dark, which was actually a very stupid thing to do, because I stepped into a ditch and smashed my face into the, thankfully, soft ground. It didn't matter though, because I had a whole new game to play. Who cares about a potential concussion? I laugh in the face of potential concussions. Ha 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 ha! Anyway, once I was home, I installed the game, booted it up, and man did I have a good time. I remember loving the cool pixel art and the music, especially the opening cutscene. I'd never seen somebody act so damn cool before. Needless to say that over the next few weeks, I was on cloud 9. However, once I'd finished the game and returned it to my neighbor, he told me all about other point-and-click games, some of which he had. But what those games were? Well, that's a story for another time. Full Throttle was the first real point-and-click game that I finished, and it would go on to spark a true love of the genre that started with a silly little demo for Grim Fandango. Now, before I go any further, there are two things I should address. Well, three things actually. The first thing is, this isn't a should you play it. You should play this game, especially if you do like point-and-click games. Much like I did with the Grim Fandango video and Vampire before it, I'm only here to share my love of the game with you. Second, this isn't the original release of the game. Well, it is, but it isn't. This is the Double Fine's Productions / Shiny Shoe / Yata. This is their remaster of the game, but it is running in its original format. And the third and final thing is... I forgot. Spoilers. Duh. Of course it's the spoilers. How could I have forgotten that? There will be spoilers for the entire main story of the game, so you've been warned, pal. A hovercar cruises down an empty highway road as two businessmen discuss their plans for the day. The owner, Malcolm Corley, argues with his vice president, Adrian Ripburger, about the future of his company. Ripburger wants to put into action his own plans, but Malcolm believes that this is an awful idea, whatever the idea is. But that isn't the only issue going on. Ripburger wants to have Malcolm turn up to the next shareholders meeting with a biker gang at his side, since his business is Corley Motors. It's actually the biggest and the only motorbike manufacturer. Malcolm asks Ripburger who exactly he's trying to fool with this little stunt, and Ripburger replies with the shareholders. Malcolm doesn't like this. He knows Ripburger is up to something, but can't quite figure out what. Just then, a group of bikers tear down the road, and their leader doesn't even bother getting out of the way of the car, but instead he just drives over the top of it. This leader is Ben, and his gang are the Polecats. As the gang speeds away, Malcolm pops his head out of the window and smiles with glee, telling his driver to follow them. Back in his earlier days, Malcolm used to be a biker, but gave it all up to start his own business for other bikers. If he had to have any gang escort him, he wants it to be the Polecats. At a bar close by, Malcolm hops out of his limo, telling Ripburger to stay in the car. He wants to have a chat with the gang on his own, biker to biker. Ripburger agrees and waits for what feels like hours before getting out of the limo to see what's going on. When he enters the bar, he finds Malcolm and Ben laughing and having a fantastic conversation about Malcolm's earlier biking years. Ripburger clears his throat and kills the good vibes in the room. He tells Ben that he wants to discuss some business deal, but outside. Ben begrudgingly agrees and steps outside with Ripburger. Ripburger tells Ben that Malcolm is actually dying and only has a few months to live. Ben is shocked, or at least as shocked as he can be upon hearing this, and asks what happens to the business if he dies. Ripburger tells him that he has a plan, and if he wants to know what that plan is, he and the rest of the Polecats are going to have to go to the shareholder meeting with Malcolm. Ben refuses and explains that the Polecats aren't thugs for hire, even for Malcolm. Ripburger smiles and tells Ben if that's the case, he has just one final offer. Just then, Ben is knocked out from behind. Ripburger smiles and tells his bodyguards, who were driving the limo, to get rid of Ben, steal his bike, and make it look like an accident. Ripburger then returns to the bar as the Polecats hear Ben's bike start up and take off down the road. He tells them that Ben decided to take them up on the offer and went ahead to scout out a route. And with that, Malcolm and the rest of the Polecats take off down the road with Ripburger not far behind in his limo. After an unknown amount of time, a rather grumpy Ben wakes up in a dumpster just out the back of the bar. After punching his way out like the total boss he is, Ben makes his way inside, and after learning from the bartender that his gang took off with Malcolm, he tries to hop on his own bike and chase them down, but his keys are gone. Ben returns to the bar and begins to suspect that the bartender knows a little more than he's letting on, so Ben roughs him up in the coolest scene from a video game I have ever seen. Enjoy.
You know what might look better on your nose?
What?
The bar. Now don't mess around with me.
All right.
After that amazing scene, I love that scene. I don't know why. Ben gets his keys and learns that an ambush is going to take place up the road, and also that they were going to try to kill Ben and make it look like an accident. Something isn't right here. Ben hops onto his bike and takes off as fast as he can at top speed, and When he does, his front wheel comes off and he crashes at top speed. This was what they meant by trying to make it look like an accident. Ben slips in and out of consciousness, near death, as night falls. Thankfully, a reporter finds Ben on the side of the road and after snapping a few pics, takes him to get help. When Ben finally fully wakes up, he finds himself in a small workshop, his bike in a state of disrepair. A young woman greets Ben and explains what happened. This is Maureen, or Mo for short. She looked after Ben and is also in the middle of repairing his bike. And for free at that. Ben asks how she learned to repair bikes, and she tells him that she used to work on them with her father until he left. After that, she went to live with her uncle at his mink ranch, which she still visits from time to time to clear her head. Ben tells Mo that he needs his bike up and running so he can go and warn his gang that something bad is about to happen, and somehow the gang is involved. Mo tells Ben that to fix his bike, he'll need to get a few things. Fuel, new forks, and her welding torch, since somebody recently stole it, and without it, she can't actually fix the bike. Ben nods his head and sets forth, but not before thanking the reporter that found him. She doesn't seem overly bothered, but does perk up when Ben tells her about the ambush down the road. After hearing that, she runs for her car and takes off so quick and leaves Ben behind and rather annoyed. At least as annoyed as Ben can be. Now Ben sets forth on his amazing quest, and first things first, the welding torch. Ben makes his way over to, from what I can tell anyway, the only other living person in town, and after noticing that he's welding, Ben knocks on the door, and after being refused entrance, Ben just lets himself in, knocking the man out in the process. Ben then uses a secret elevator that he has for some reason, which is actually quite cool. I mean, a secret elevator? Heck yeah, I'd want one of those. But anyway, Ben goes down the elevator and finds Mo's stolen welding torch. Second thing is second, and that's the forks. Ben makes his way over to the scrapyard, and after dealing with a rather annoying dog, Ben finds the perfect replacement for his bike's front forks, and that's lucky. And third thing is third. Ben borrows a little gas from a patrol helicopter hover bike thing, maybe? I have no idea what this thing is, but Ben borrows some gas from it and takes off running back to Mo's house with the gas in hand, or petrol depending on where you're from. Mo thanks him for getting all of the stuff and finishes fixing up his bike. However, she has a surprise for Ben. What surprise, you may ask? Well, she only went ahead and gave him a... Let me put my glasses on here to get this correct. A pre-regulation destroyer-class solid fuel recoil booster. Wasn't that sweet? She gave him a rocket-powered booster for his bike. Legendary. Anyway, with his bike now fixed up, Ben hops on and engages the booster and takes off like a bat out of hell. Eventually, Ben catches up with the polecats at a rest stop. Malcolm had to have a quick pee break. Ben asks where Ripburger is, but the gang doesn't know. And then they ask Ben what's going on, and he tells them that they're in the middle of an ambush. Malcolm leaves the bathroom, happily singing to himself as the reporter from earlier hides in the bushes, snapping pics, waiting for the ambush to start. Just then, Ripburger sneaks up behind Malcolm and hits him as hard in the head as possible with his walking stick, knocking Malcolm to the ground. As the reporter keeps taking pictures, she's found by one of Ripburger's goons, who grabs her and the camera. Thankfully, the reporter is able to slip away, but the goon keeps the camera. He's about to give chase when Ripburger stops him, telling him that Nestor, the other bodyguard / hired goon guy, will take care of her, while he has another job, to pay a visit to the other member of the Corley family. As the goon leaves, I keep calling him Goon. He has a name, Bolus. I think they say it maybe like once or twice in the game, maybe? Anyway, as Bolus leaves, Ripburger gets ready to deal the final fatal blow to Malcolm, but he runs away when he hears Ben approaching. Ben finds Malcolm dying and rushes to his side. Malcolm tells Ben that Ripburger was the one to do this to him because he wants to take over Corley Motors, and the only way to do that is to kill him and his daughter, the diapered dynamo, Mo. Then he passes away. Over at Mo's shack, Bolus sneaks up behind Mo and gets ready to shoot her. However, she sees him and gets the drop on him, quite literally dropping him, which knocks him out. She cautiously approaches and checks his ID, learning that Corley Motors... The rest of the sentence is deleted. I must have deleted it or something. Oh, jeez. Okay, hold on, let me wing it real quick. She cautiously approaches and checks his ID, learning that he was a Corley Motors employee. And she also notices that he has a camera with a roll of film in it, which she bends down to take. But just then, Ripburger in his limo pulls up, scaring Mo away. Ben pulls up... I hope that was correct, because I just did that from memory. Ben pulls up at Mo's shack and begins to search for her. However, he doesn't find her or any trace of Ripburger, Bolus, or Nestor. What Ben does find is a photo of Mo at her uncle's mink ranch, and remembers her saying that she likes to go there to clear her head from time to time. With no other leads, Ben hops back on his bike and rides towards the mink ranch. While at the mink ranch, Ben explores Mo's old room and notices that she's actually part of a biker gang herself, or at least was part of a biker gang, the Vultures. As Ben continues his search, he hears a bike start up, and only to notice that it's Mo. She speeds away and he gives chase down the highway. Once he gets close to her, she engages her rocket booster and zips away. Ben goes to do the same thing, but notices she stole his fuel. Ben tries to keep up, but she is long gone. As he cruises along, he enters into Cavefish territory, another biker gang known for its very aggressive thefts and also being really creepy. 3 cavefish ride past Ben and give chase to a truck, blowing it up and the bridge it was on. Ben now can't give chase with the bridge out, so he needs to find another way across. And you know what this calls for? A quick fire puzzle solving montage. Past the point of no return, you reach the top, but still you gotta learn how to keep it. Hit the wheel. Double the stakes. Throttle. I can't remember the words. Oh, jeez. Alright, let's scratch that one. Let's scratch that and just do a regular puzzle solving montage. To get across the canyon, Ben needs 3 things. First, a hover fan. Hover fan? He needs something to help his bike hover. This is easy to get because old Bolus and Rolus... wait there, hang on a second. I forgot the other guy's name. Goon 1 and Goon 2 try to ambush Ben, but he outsmarts them. Then he takes the part he needs from their hovercar. Easy peasy. Second, he needs more booster fuel. So you know what our old friend Ben does? He goes on a biker beatdown rampage. He takes his foes out with chainsaws, pocket sand, and his own fists of fury until he finds a guy with some booster fuel. And when he finds him, he takes him down with a chain. Perfect. Perfect. Third, we need a ramp. This one takes a little bit of doing because we need to steal the ramp from the cavefish. And as we found out earlier, they're a little crazy. Well, that and their base is actually completely hidden without their goggles, so Ben needs to find a cavefish, take him down, and take his goggles. You see, the trick here is that you have to take a plank of wood and... Oh, yep, alright. Never mind. Whoops. Okay, so you get your plank of wood and... Damn! Third time's the charm. Ready your plank of wood and... Okay, maybe on round 4, and if I'm really quick... Come on! Alright, this time I'll... Why? Yeah, got him. Okay, you take that, you stupid cavefish. Who's the man? I'm the man. Yeah, boy. That felt good. Anyway, with your fancy pair of cavefish goggles, Ben can now find their hideout, and when he does, he sneaks into the camp and steals the ramp. Kinda rhymed there. Nice. Now, with all 3 items in hand and set up, Ben speeds his bike down the highway, kicking his boost into overdrive and leaping across the canyon like the cool guy he is. Ben rides long into the night towards the vulture's hideout where Mo should be. This also happens to be near Corley Motors where Ripburger is. However, that sleazy scumbag can wait, so Ben heads on over to the vulture's hideout. He needs to find Mo first. Well, it appears the vultures aren't too fond of guests, since the path to their hideout is lined with landmines. This isn't what Ben signed up for, so he comes up with a brilliant plan to get across. Little yellow toy bunnies. That's right, toy bunnies. Say it with me now, pals. Toy. T-O-Y. Toy bunnies. Ben heads on over to a vendor at Corley Motors Stadium who's busy trying to sell souvenirs. And using a small remote car, Ben is able to distract the man long enough to take an entire box of toy bunnies. After borrowing the toy bunnies, Ben returns to the vulture's hideout and unleashes the bunnies. They march forward, but it goes about as well as expected, so Ben tries this again, but this time doesn't unleash them all at once and is able to make it across, where he is greeted by the vultures, and they aren't happy to see him because Mo believes Ben killed her father, so they strap him to the back of their bikes and begin to stretch him out. Ben quickly tries to get the situation under control by calling Mo names, specifically Diapered Dynamo, the nickname her father gave her. After hearing that, Mo lets Ben talk and explain the whole situation. Ripburger, the reporter's stolen camera, everything. Mo stops her bike and begins to tell Ben that she actually has the photos he's talking about, and Ben tells her to develop them and see what's on them, and sure enough, the photos show Ripburger killing her father. Mo apologizes for earlier, and Ben tells her not to worry about it. They decide to team up and take Ripburger down, but there's only one problem. Ripburger has gone into hiding and even cancelled the shareholders meeting until the murderers are brought to justice. We're going to need to lure him out, but how? Well, one of the vultures has an idea. I'm actually going to let her explain it because I'd only screw it up. And because the voice actress is Tress MacNeille, and she's awesome, so take it away, Tress.
Okay, so here we go. Faking Ben and Maureen's death, Act 1, Scene 1. Adrian Ripburger, in a desperate attempt to lure our Maureen out of hiding, has developed the following lame-ass scheme. First prize at tonight's smash-up derby is a vintage hardtail that Mo restored with her dad. Rip hopes Mo will try to nab said bike on account of her sentimental attachment to it. So Ben and Mo play along, put on disguises, and enter the demolition derby, which ends tragically when their cars explode and both are presumed dead.
Question.
Please save your questions until the end. Now, the explosives in Mo's car can only be triggered by a head-on collision with Ben's car. This ejector seat projects Mo clear of the explosion, and she parachutes to safety.
Don't you think someone will notice her ejecting out of her car?
No, they'll all be watching you running around on fire.
Yeah, that's another question I have.
When your car explodes, you climb from it in flames and run around the stadium distracting the audience. In your cute little asbestos suit, of course.
That's some plan.
All right then, let's go blow you little darlings up.
Alright, did you catch all of that? Good. Man, maybe I should actually just stop doing this and just hire professional voice actors, but anyway, over at the derby, Ben and Mo, both in disguises of course, hop into their respective cars and drive around. Only Ripburger knows that they're there and sends out his goon squad. I've fully forgotten their names at this point, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, the goon squad pin Mo down in her car and stop Ben from getting anywhere near it. Ben must now navigate his way around the arena and smash headfirst into her car. It takes some doing. Some really annoying doing, let me tell you. But Ben is able to eventually launch his car off of a ramp and on top of their car, stalling them out, and then crashing his car into Mo's car and causing a fiery explosion. Ben gets out of the wreckage and runs around on fire like a madman. He tries to leave the arena, but the two evil goons won't let him out. So after chasing him around for a bit, Ben eventually lures the two goons into a fire, which then causes their cars to overheat and explode. Ripburger, now fully satisfied thinking Ben and Mo and his goon squad are now dead, goes ahead and restarts the shareholder meeting. Rest in peace, Goon Squad. Back at the Vulture's HQ, Ben finds Mo with the bike she and her father built, only it's in pieces. It turns out her father hid his safe combination on the bike. She's going to need this to get his will out of the safe and prove that she is the rightful owner of Corley Motors, not Ripburger. Ben sneaks into Corley Motors and into Malcolm's office. He opens the safe with the code from the bike, and inside is the will. Ripburger then finally unveils his plans for the company during the shareholders meeting, and that plan is minivans. Yeah? He wants to stop making bikes and start making minivans. Isn't that cool? I'm kidding. Ben knows his time is running out, and then sneaks into the projector room for the shareholder meeting and splices together everything from the will and the photographic evidence of Ripburger killing Malcolm, and then plays it for everybody to see. No minivans today, Ripburger. With the truth now out, Mo runs up on stage telling everybody who she is and what's going on. As she speaks, Ripburger sneaks out of the building in shame because of the, whole murdering somebody thing. Ben tries to chase him down, but he just steals a big truck and drives away. Forget about him, who cares? Ben returns inside and joins Mo on stage. She seems happy with everything, and rightly so. The two of them hit the road on Ben's bike, talking about all the things they're going to do, but just then Ripburger tears down the road in his big truck, smashing into them and laughing like a maniac. Mo gets pulled under the truck and Ben tries his best to hold on to the front. Old Ripburger, does his whole evil guy speech thing when the vultures turn up in a plane? Yeah, sure, it's a wingless plane, I think. Ben tries to get Ripburger's... Oh, hang on a second. There's still one of these toy bunnies in his pocket. Let's just... Perfect. Ben hates those toy bunnies. Anyway, Ben tries to get Ripburger's attention while the wingless plane scoops up the truck. And once inside the plane, Ripburger goes crazy, just shooting the truck's miniguns all over the place. And Ben dives into the truck from above and fistfights Ripburger as the plane rips to a stop over a canyon, and Ripburger flies out the front window as the coat he was wearing snags on one of the truck's miniguns and is left dangling over a canyon. Ben then tries to climb back into the truck, into the plane, but Ripburger shoots his gun at him, stopping him from doing so. Ben then returns to the truck and retracts its miniguns, making Ripburger fall into the canyon far, far below. Then Ben quickly runs back to the plane, hops onto his bike, and leaps out of the plane just before the entire thing goes over the edge in a big explosion. Oh, mama. Okay. That was a lot. With Ripburger dead, Mo the CEO of Corley Motors, and Ben's name cleared, everybody can finally come together and hold a funeral for Malcolm and mourn him. Bikers from all over put aside their feuds for the day so they too can attend the funeral and pay their respects. As Ben and Mo return to her limo, they talk about their future together, but as they do, Mo gets a business call and she answers it, and while she's talking, Ben quietly exits the limo. He and she know that their worlds are just too different now, and Ben then rides off into the sunset alone. The end. Or is it? Ben's actions against the toy bunnies has caught the attention of the toy resistance, and they're now hunting him down. Sure, it's very slowly hunting him down, but as they say, slow and steady wins the race. Watch your back, Ben. The bunnies are coming for you. The end. For real this time. When I was a kid, I actually didn't understand what was going on in this game's story. For some reason, and I'm not kidding you, for some reason, I thought this was a story about biker gangs that lived in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and I thought that they were out like riding bikes and killing each other, and for some reason Ripburger was the good guy even though he's the villain, because he actually wanted to stop all the roving gangs of bikers by making minivans, and that would somehow stop them. Don't ask me how I got that out of what was shown, but there you go. I was just a kid and I had a hard time understanding the plot. That's it. That's it. What I will say is that I am now an adult and I understand the story. I also understand how that story might have sounded me telling it to you. It's very, and then this happens, and then that happens, and then this happens, and then that, and then this, and then that. Just like constantly one after the other. But it does flow well when you're playing the game. It's also just a me thing. I'm really bad at telling stories. But when you're playing the game at your own pace, everything flows together smoothly. I do like the story, even though it is pretty short, but believe me, that doesn't matter. There's no point padding out a story with a bunch of random stuff if it doesn't serve the story at all. Aside from that, Ben, to me, really does seem like a... What's the expression? Like he's got that gruff exterior, but still has a heart of gold on the inside, and he's just been swept up into this whole wild ride, and I like that. And Mo seems like this woman who just wants to live her own quiet life, but still struggles internally with her past, and that's cool. And Rip Burger is just a suit, so who cares? Actually, this is slightly off topic, but Rip Burger is actually voiced by Mark Hamill, and he does a perfect job voicing the role. Heck, I don't think he's ever done any bad voice acting, ever, I don't think. At least none that I can think of right now, but still, it's praise where praise is due. Mark Hamill did a fantastic job in this game as Rip Burger. I guess, at the end of the day, all I'm trying to say is, I do like Full Throttle's story. It's short, sweet, and to the point. No faffing around, aside from the biker fights, but I'll get to that in just a minute. If you do like motorcycle culture and a well-put-together point-and-click game, you will probably like Full Throttle. And heck, even if you don't and you just like a point-and-click game, really do try it out. It really is just a nice short game to play. And personally, I can't think of anything negative to say about the story in the game, so... Or anything I'd like to change for that matter, so let's just move on over to the gameplay. I am gonna be straight with you. Full Throttle's gameplay is extremely simple. Being a point-and-click game, all you need to worry about and do is move your mouse around and interact with the objects in the world. It never gets more complex than that. Still, in this game, you control Ben's action with this rather neat, wheel, I guess you could say? Like insignia? It's the way Ben interacts with the world. The eyes are for looking at objects, the mouth is for talking to people, the fist is for picking up things, and the boot is for kicking things. You can also access the game's inventory with the right mouse button. And honestly, that's it. Or is it? Well, yes it is, but there is slightly more to the gameplay, which takes the form in the biker fights. For that, you'll be using either the mouse or keyboard, arrows, or both, to control Ben's bike, and the mouse will move him left to right, and so will the arrows, and you can also switch attacks with the right mouse button, I believe. I've tried to block it out of my mind. I was never a big fan of this back in the day. It always felt janky to control at the best of times, and still to this day feels the same. I can't comment, however, on the remastered control, since I was so swept up trying to fight the cave fish guy that I totally forgot to test it out. So my apologies for that. I have failed you. I have failed as a content creator. Can you ever forgive me? Oh. Sorry, where was I? Oh yeah, the biker fights is the only section in the entire game that does feel like it's padding out the runtime just a little bit. I wish each enemy had a little more depth to them, like they're a puzzle to solve, just like the rest of the game. The only enemy that has any type of depth like that is the cavefish biker. He sprays oil out at you, and the only time you can hit him is when there are cracks and bumps in the road. That's when he pops his head up, and then that's when you can, hit him. I do wish more of the enemies had gimmicks like that. Although, that said, sometimes the cavefish fight is just annoying rather than fun. So if all the enemies were like that, this section would probably be even longer and probably worse. So I don't know. It's just a thought that I had, and I don't know if it'd make it any better or any worse, but it's still just a thought. And while on the topic of annoying things in the game, I wanted to bring up the Destruction Derby. I debated on whether or not to spoil the puzzle of this game, of this moment in the game, but I think to truly explain to you how bad it is, I have to spoil the solution to the puzzle. So, your goal here is to ram headfirst into Mo's car. Easy. However, Mo gets blocked on one side of the arena by the goon squad, and anytime you try to get close, they bump you out of the way, aggressively so. So you need to find a way to get around them. Simple, right? Kind of. You see, to solve this puzzle, you have to go to the other side of the arena where there are two other cars circling around. Then you have to go around one of them, jump up a ramp, and by the way, getting on this ramp is a pain in the butt because you can't see it, but there are really bad invisible walls there. It's just awful. But anyway, once you get up the ramp and leap off, you'll land on top of another car which stalls it. Fine. So then you take that car and just keep ramming it down into the bottom right-hand corner, and then up another ramp, and then it goes over the ramp, and then you can go over the ramp, which then gives you a boost, and then you land on top of the Goon Squad's car, stalling them out, then you can hit Mo's car. That's the puzzle. Now on paper, it sounds fine, I guess, but the problem comes into play with the controls, and this section of the game is awful. There's no other way to say it. It is truly terrible. The controls are floaty beyond belief, and it's such a pain to do. If you get that stalled out car anywhere near the Goon Squad, they'll hit that car, and when they do, it starts the car back up and then resets the puzzle. So it's just this big pain in the butt to try and go up these ramps while avoiding the cars and land on the car and then bump the other car. It's awful. Full stop. It's just bad, and I don't like it. I understand wanting to try new things in games, but this was awful. At least, for me it was. Still, I can't think of a solution to fix this problem. I think the solution would be better controls, but at the same time, I don't know, I don't like it. You know, I think if it was controlled by the mouse, like, rather than you actually controlling the car with the arrow keys, I think if you were to, like, click on the ramp, then Ben will, like, drive over and then go up the ramp and then hit the car, and then you click on the car and then he nudges it over for you, and then you click on the ramp and then he nudges it off and then, solves the puzzle that way, so you're not controlling the car. I think that may have been a solution, but really, I don't know, and I could sit here all day trying to figure out a solution, or maybe you have a solution, but I'm not going to. All I'm going to say is, like I've repeatedly said, it's awful, and I do not like it. Full Throttle isn't trying to reinvent the point-and-click genre or gameplay, and honestly, I'm glad it doesn't. The Destruction Derby and Biker Gang fights aside, but I do love it. I've always loved how simplistic point-and-click games are. They are far more interested in telling you a story and giving you some puzzles to solve, and that's it, and that's fine. At least for me. So, that's all I had to say about the gameplay. Let's move on to the music. Peter McConnell does a fantastic job as composer for this game, much like he did for the last game I covered, Grim Fandango. In fact, I dare say all the music Peter makes in general is fantastic, and each track lends itself fantastically to the tone of this game, as all soundtracks should. However, it's not Peter McConnell's fantastic score I want to talk about, it's actually the other music in this game. Full Throttle has actual licensed music from very real bands, and the band in particular for this game was the Gone Jackals. Now, I don't know much about motorcycle culture. In fact, I don't know anything about motorcycle culture, but if I had to sort of pick a music to go along with it, it would probably be the Gone Jackals. That's probably why Peter picked them. The standout song from them is without a doubt Legacy, which almost acts as a theme song, so to speak. Of course, I would love to play a little bit of the song for you, but of course, with all licensed music, I can't, because the YouTube gods would, well, not YouTube gods, the music industry as a whole would just pimp slap me like there's no tomorrow, so sorry. Now, of course, all music is very subjective, as all our tastes in it are highly different, but if you are interested in checking them out, you're in luck, because all of the music from them featured in Full Throttle is actually on one of their albums called Bone to Pick. So there you go. Go check it out on YouTube or Spotify, or go buy a physical disc. I don't know. However you want to listen to it. Go crazy. Still, it's not actually so much the Bone Jackals I wanted to talk about. It's another song I wanted to talk about from this game. One bloody, stupid song from this game that has been stuck in my head ever since I played it in the 90s. And that is Chitlin's Whiskey and Skirt. Music is highly subjective, like I said, and I have a very love-hate relationship with this song. On the surface, it's terrible, and I don't like it. But bloody hell is it one hell of an earworm. Throughout the years, I've caught myself singing this song, and I hate myself for it, and the remaster of this game just adds more of this song to the game. Every time you pause the game, it plays the song, so yay, I guess? I'm pretty sure it was made just for this game, and as such would be alright for me to play at least a little bit of it, but I can't be 100% sure, so I'm not gonna risk it. So please do yourself a favor and give it a listen and tell me what you think. Or better yet, go play the game, then come back when you've finished and tell me if that song is stuck in your head. Overall, I really enjoy the music from Full Throttle, and while I can never really give a deep insight to music in general in any game, all I can do is tell you what I do and do not like, and I do like the music on offer here. Much like I did for the previous Grim Fandango video, I wanted to quickly talk about the remastered version of this game and what it adds to the experience. Of course, this can be a touchy subject, and I fully understand that, but just know I'm not here to bash one or the other, so there you go. First, let me talk about the developer commentary. I really do believe that this should be a staple in all remasters, but that aside, what I'm happy to see is something I brought up in the previous Grim Fandango video actually appeared in this game, and that was the ability to listen to the commentary tracks on their own. This is great because it ensures you'll never miss out on something cool, and I am very, very happy to see this. I didn't even know it was a feature in this game, so that's fantastic. Another fantastic addition to the remaster is the soundtrack. You can listen to it on an in-game jukebox, but not only that, you can actually switch between the original song and the updated remaster version of this song, and that's insane and really put a smile on my face. It lets those who want to enjoy the old school songs enjoy themselves without being forced into the remaster stuff that they may or may not like. It seems like such a small thing, but I promise it isn't. Nostalgia is a powerful thing, and sometimes you just want to remember it for how it was, warts and all. The concept art section also makes an appearance in this game, and I love it. I really enjoy looking at all the artwork and seeing how it began on paper before making its way in-game. And I said this in the Grim Fandango video, but it's worth repeating here. This bonus concept art section should be always in all games. Not only does it just add more content, but I assure you people do like looking at it. Very talented artists worked on the concept art, and it sucks that either A, it never sees the light of day, or B, it's locked away in an expensive limited run book. Sometimes the actual artists do post their work online, but I've often found it hard to find, or it's just stolen away by some other account. Maybe I'm alone in this, but I really wish games came with more extras like this, not just the remasters. And finally, the remastered version comes with the ability to switch between the old school style and the new school style at the press of a button, at any time you like. They actually did a lot for this version, at least when compared to Grim Fandango. The backgrounds and cutscenes are actually expanded upon and add more detail, which is a welcome addition. And switching between also upgrades the music and the voice acting files, which, as a super quick side note, is amazing. The game boasts incredibly talented voice actors, many of which you most likely know, especially if you're a child of the 90s. I love being able to switch between the two styles on the fly. It really just sort of makes it feel like a whole new game. Still, I personally do enjoy the older look and sound of the game. Like I said earlier, nostalgia is a powerful thing. And in addition to all of that, they added in achievements or trophies, depending on where you're playing. And I really do feel like it made the experience feel just a little bit fresher. All of that said, which version you prefer just comes down to your own personal taste. Still, I do like what they did here, and I do like that it is available on modern consoles. Full Throttle to me is great, but not flawless. There are genuine moments I don't like, those of course being the biker fights and destruction derby. But still, they don't take away from my love of this game. Nothing's 100% perfect, and it's even the flaws in things that allow you to truly enjoy something even more. I've also heard people are upset by the length of this game. For me, it's never been an issue, but it is a very real and valid concern. For this video, I logged a total of just under 3 hours. I think it was like 2 hours and 40 something minutes. And that was me just taking my time and getting all the achievements. I mean, sure, I do know all the puzzles like the back of my hand, but still it's a short runtime, even if you don't know what you're doing. Now, why isn't this an issue for me? Well, because it's a tight story. You don't need to add more elements if what you have works as is. I honestly can't tell you how often I've sat down to play a game only to spend the next 100 hours running around in a world and slowly burning myself out on the whole thing, regardless of how good the story is. Full Throttle is short, yeah, but I personally wouldn't change a thing about it. Maybe the biker fights and the destruction W, but still, I wouldn't change a thing about it. The voice acting is great. The puzzles are never too hard, and the story is awesome, and that's the truth. I might have played Grim Fandango first, well, the demo of it at least, but this game was the one that really brought a love of not only the director, Tim Schafer's work, but of the point-and-click genre as a whole. Sadly, since I only borrowed this game when I was a kid, I never got to play it as often as I would have liked, but despite that, I've come to play it every so often thanks to it being released on more modern hardware, and that really does bring me joy. So if you were to ask me, Lycan, should I play Full Throttle? My answer, pal, is of course going to be yes, even though this wasn't a should you play it, but still, yes. Anyway, I don't really have anything deep or profound to say, so I'll just shut up. But before I do, I would like to say that I am going to end up covering more point-and-click games, especially the ones from LucasArts. I was really worried and hesitant on doing this because I wasn't quite sure how to translate the puzzles into story and so on and so forth, but I think I got it. I think I'm doing an okay job, but you'll have to let me know. I do have plans on covering future games, you know, Monkey Island, so on and so forth. I've played a lot of point-and-click games, and I have a deep love of each one, and truth be told, it's oddly refreshing to cover something that isn't going to make for a 3-hour-long video. Or who knows? Maybe you like that. Maybe you like listening to me waffle on for several hours. Who am I to judge your taste in YouTube videos? Now, if you are wondering what's next, well, I have another short-ish video in the works. The Super Mario Bros. Movie from 1993. But also a secret video. Ooh, shh. Don't tell anybody. Aside from that, why am I choosing to cover the original Mario movie and not another game? It's an odd choice, right? Well, truth be told, like I said in the Grim Fandango video, I'm in the middle of moving right now, so as you're hearing this, I'm probably moving boxes or something. I don't know when I'll be fully set up, I don't know when the internet will be up and ready, I don't know any of that stuff, so until everything is, you know, back in ship shape, I'm just gonna cover smaller, you know, less effort things. But still, I'm not gonna limit it to the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Oh, no. I plan on covering all video game movies, such as Double Dragon, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat and its sequel Annihilation, Wing Commander, the 2 Lara Croft movies that I forgot were even a thing, and the 3rd one that I honestly had no idea even came out or existed, Assassin's Creed, the Resident Evil movies, all 7 of them, holy moly, the cinematic masterpiece that is the UA Bowl films, the Silent Hill movies, Max Payne and Warcraft, and many, many more. Holy moly. So yeah, safe to say that there's going to be a lot of content for you to fall asleep to. And now we're finally at the end of this video, and like I like to do with each one of my videos, is thank the lovely people who have joined the channel. And those lovely folk are Family Dog, Anya the Khajiit, David, TJ and Jack, Aaron, Amelia, Pizza Rolls, and Adam Myers. So thank you very, very much. I really, truly, there is no words for me to really, truly thank you. Aside from Venzo. You are Venzo. But so is every everybody else. Everybody who is watching this video, everybody who has felt like I earned a like or a comment or to subscribe to the channel. If you feel like I genuinely have earned any of it, be it joining, subscribing, or liking or commenting, any one of those things is amazing. And I truly, truly do thank you from the bottom of my heart. You are making a wonderful dream come true, and I am truly honored by you. Thank you. And I do mean that. Thank you. Now, I'm gonna let you go, pals, because I've got a lot of work to do, and I will see you, hopefully, well, soon, depending on whenever I get set up, so hopefully that is soon, but I will see you then. Take care of yourself. Peace out, pals.